Imagine, several months of injections, and one morning you look at your leg, and it's turned black and started rotting right there on you, right now, right there on you, while you're still alive. This is Desomorphine, also known as Crocodile, a homemade mixture made from cough drops, paint thinner, and acid. Literally, using whatever you can find under the kitchen sink. A single dose costs less than $5. That's why it's a favorite among those who can't afford anything else. But the real price isn't paid in money, it's in your body. After the injection, the mixture corrodes the walls of blood vessels from the inside. Blood stops flowing normally. Tissue begins to die, first around the injection site, then spreading further and further throughout the body. The skin darkens, ulcerates, and peels off in chunks. Doctors call it necrosis. Ordinary people call it hell. The smell from such wounds is one of the most unbearable encountered in medicine. Amputations are a common outcome for those who've been using desomorphine for over a year. First, a finger, then a foot, then the entire leg. And even that doesn't always save the person. The average life expectancy after the initial withdrawal is 2 to 3 years. Not from an overdose. The body simply disintegrates from the inside, like an old pipe under pressure, slowly and silently. The most terrifying thing is that the person remains conscious the entire time. They watch as their body disappears piece by piece. And they continue to inject because the pain of withdrawal is stronger than the fear of death. What if death fits in an envelope? Not a metaphor. A few grains of white powder, barely visible on paper, kill an adult in minutes. Fentanyl was invented for cancer patients with unbearable pain. It's about 100 times more powerful than morphine, 100 times as in percent. These are different substances from different leagues. The lethal dose of fentanyl is about 2 milligrams. That's less than a few grains of table salt. For comparison, the lethal dose of heroin is about 50 times greater. The difference is enormous. Criminals have begun secretly adding it to other substances, pills, powders, even weed. A person thinks they're taking one thing, but they're getting fentanyl. And they don't have time to realize something's wrong. An overdose looks like this. The person suddenly goes silent. The lips turn blue. The body goes limp. Breathing stops. From contact to death is sometimes less than 3 minutes. Ambulances simply don't have time. In 1 year, fentanyl and its derivatives killed more than 70,000 people in the United States. That's more than the entire population of an average European city. And it happens every year. Clandestine factories have learned to produce it cheaply, quickly, and almost undetectable. 1 kilogram of the raw material can kill 500,000 people. It's not called a weapon just because it looks like powder. Police officers handling seized quantities wear gloves, masks, and protective goggles. Because an accidental touch or inhalation can make them a victim themselves. This substance is unforgiving. What if you get robbed? And not only do you not resist, but you open the safe yourself, sign the papers yourself, and accompany the robbers to the exit. And then you won't remember a thing? Scopolamine is derived from a plant in the nightshade family. It's used medicinally, for example, for motion sickness. But there are other uses that aren't mentioned in the pharmacy instructions. In high doses, this substance completely extinguishes the will. The person remains on their feet, speaks, answers questions, but they are incapable of refusing. Order them anything, they will do it. That's why it's called the obedience powder. In Latin America, gangs would apply this powder to leaflets, business cards, and banknotes. The person would pick up the paper and receive the dose through their skin or by accidentally inhaling it. Tasteless, odorless, without warning. Victims later reported, "I remember leaving the apartment." And that's it. The next memory is standing at the ATM and withdrawing all my money, or signing documents, or driving somewhere with strangers. The substance blocks connections between neurons responsible for critical thinking. The part of the brain that tells you no and protects you from outside influence simply switches off temporarily. Furthermore, the substance causes hallucinations, increased heart rate, and, in high doses, respiratory arrest. There is no specific antidote. Doctors simply support the body and wait for it to clear itself. This isn't some exotic foreign country. Cases of use have been reported all over the world, from Europe to Asia. And if this happens to you, you likely won't even realize you've been drugged unless you get tested within the first few hours. Imagine 3 days without sleep, but you feel better than ever. Smarter, faster, more confident. You can do anything. And then there comes a point when you can't do anything at all. Methamphetamine makes the brain dump all pleasure at once. What would accumulate in an ordinary person over a whole happy day is released in a matter of minutes. You literally feel like you've won everything in the world. But the brain defends itself. After such a release, it reduces sensitivity to pleasure. Next time, you need more of the substance to feel the same. Then even more, until ordinary life ceases to bring any joy at all. After 2 or 3 days on this substance, hallucinations begin. Severe ones. People feel insects under their skin and scratch themselves until they bleed. They hear voices. They are convinced they are being watched. This is called psychosis, and it may not go away even after complete withdrawal from the drug. For some people, the changes in the brain are permanent. Paranoia and voices remain with them forever. Police collect mugshots of people before and a year or two after their arrest. Their faces change beyond recognition. Teeth fall out. Skin becomes covered in ulcers. Eyes sink in. This isn't old age. It's what the substance does to the body from the inside. Teeth don't decay because a person doesn't brush them. The substance reduces saliva production, causes teeth grinding in sleep, and encourages people to drink sugary foods to satisfy their cravings. Dentists have long since coined a term for this. The ingredients for its production are sold completely legally. That's why it's brewed in kitchens, cars, and motels all over the world. Production is simpler than it seems, and that's why it's so difficult to get rid of. There's a substance called Carfentanil, developed to tranquilize elephants and rhinoceroses for wild animals weighing several tons. Now it's on the streets, and a person can take a dose that's impossible to see without a magnifying glass. It's fentanyl's big brother, about 100 times more potent, and 10,000 times more potent than morphine. A horse only needs 1 dose. A human needs 100 times less, and that's already lethal. They've started mixing it into batches of heroin and other powders to enhance the effect. The manufacturer saves money by selling less. The buyer doesn't know what they're getting. The result is predictable. People are dying in droves, all on the same day. In one American city, more than 300 people died in 48 hours from a single batch. Ambulances couldn't cope. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Authorities declared a state of emergency. This is real news, not a movie. Police officers who worked the scene reported that some victims died right with the needle. Others, steps from the exit. They simply didn't make it to the door. The substance acts in seconds. When law enforcement agencies seize such batches, they operate in full protective gear, as if they were exposed to a biological threat. A few specks of dust on the skin or in the air can kill an employee without symptoms or warning. An antidote exists. It's administered directly into a vein and can stop death if administered in time. But the window for rescue is literally minutes. In a real-life situation, there's almost never an antidote or someone trained to administer it nearby. These aren't just horror stories for kids. These substances exist right now, and you can stumble upon them by accident through someone else's pill or treat. Knowing this means you have a chance. Subscribe to the channel and watch other episodes. It's important.